Okay, so we're chapter 3, part 2. We're picking up with agents of socialization. We start with your family. Again, this is where you learned everything that you think of as right and wrong. So, you're in college, you're going to get a significant other and you're going to visit their family as an example, and you're going to find out during a holiday that they do it wrong. And of course, it's not wrong. It's just different than the way your family did it. But we're raised with family, so everything that we think of as being family, right and wrong, as far as that goes, comes from how we were raised. Our family is that first agent of socialization that we figure out how the world should be. Then there's school, and of course, you learn a lot of things in school, and later we'll talk about the educational system, including some ideas in which we think the conflict theorists feel that you're a lot of patterning and making you a good little worker and a compliant citizen that doesn't ask too many questions. We'll talk about that, but basically, without any conspiracy to it, the school is teaching you things that society feels that you should know, like getting up early and knowing how to act in public and so forth. And again, the conflict theorists would say, there's a hidden curriculum there of sort of this state-funded patriotism and not asking too many questions and being able to be a worker that can sit still for 8 hours. Then we talk about your peer groups. Your peer groups, fun stuff you learn from your peers, goofy things, sometimes lies. Maybe you've learned several different lies about dating or where babies came from your peers, or they just gave you what I would call like peer technology. Perhaps if you were first starting drinking, they took out a length of garden hose and a funnel because, drinking beer was taking too long. So your peers came up with this. Your family didn't teach you this. You don't see this at a bar. Oh, wow, we need a length of garden hose and a funnel. No. That's peer group technology. Peers allow us to experiment with different identities as we're growing up. Then there's the mass media as an agent of socialization. This is where our culture, through movies and television, print sources, tell us things like what's cool, how to be acceptable in society, acceptable ideas of dress and action. Big areas of socialization, gender socialization. We learn what's right and wrong as far as how to act as men and women and the roles that they're supposed to have. Also, racial and ethnic socialization. Now, this is one of those things where conflict theorists point out that you learn a lot of negative stereotypes about people and expectations, and just things that often keep us separate in a society, including learning ideas of group superiority. Concept of anticipatory socialization. This is where you're learning for a future role. So that's anything from like job training, that's anticipatory socialization, to all the kinds of things in which at each level you're taught how you're supposed to be acting in the next level of development. So there's discussion of childhood and adolescence and adulthood, and late adulthood, including as we age, the devaluation in our culture of the elderly and what's called ageism. And again, these are also learned behaviors that old people are no longer as important, and they can be dehumanized in many ways. Super important concept, resocialization. Now, so often I'll say, here, $1 million ideas for people. Within the idea of resocialization are $1 million ideas. Voluntary resocialization, things like the diet industry, losing weight, just millions and millions of dollars that we spend. And really what we're trying to do is redo a set of behaviors, resocialize a set of behaviors, so we can change something about ourselves. Again, That industry is huge. And nobody wants to hear, hey, you're going to have to eat less and exercise more. Well, we want it in a pill. We want it in a video where we don't really have to do very much to get a change. Then there's involuntary resocialization. This occurs in what we call our total institutions, asylums, prisons, the armed forces, in which we take you and we remold you involuntarily so that you will do a new action or activity the way we would like it done. Aside from all the money that we spend, we're not actually terribly successful with this. Asylums don't seem to really have a lot of success rates. Prisons, as we'll talk about later, have like a 66% recidivism or I'll do it again rate. And the armed forces, perhaps maybe one of our better ones as far as I'll take somebody and who didn't like getting up in the morning or maybe wasn't prone to use violence. And we teach them to get up early and to want to, well, at least be able to jog at 6:30 in the morning, but also how to commit violence on command. But again, that's only while I'm in that group and everyone else is doing that same thing. Again, $1,000,000 ideas. If you can figure out a way to get somebody to not do criminal activity, the world will beat a path to your door, throwing $100 bills at you. Please tell us how to involuntarily socialize somebody so they quit committing crime, or they are able to stop having mental illness. If there's a way to do that and you figure it out, wow, what a successful life you'll have. Anyway, that's the end of part 2 of chapter 3.